Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending what is number 5 in our series of webinars. My name is Richard Northover and I run NavTOR UK. And again, thank you for joining this webinar. And there are many of you, I'm sure, who have joined earlier webinars, but thank you for joining this webinar. We've advertised what it's about, but just to go to the crux of the matter, the aim of these webinars, one is to spread knowledge, and that's the essential point. And 2 is to ensure that everyone is getting the maximum benefit from the products on board your vessels. So I'm going to move across and show today's agenda, and we can go through some certain items as we go through. So I'm going to pass you across to have a look at the agenda. So for today, we have a welcome message from Børge Hetland. We're looking at a product called Manoeuvring Assistant. That is with our colleague Gaute Fossmark. We're then moving on to look at NavTV with Stephen Richards. And then we have a dedicated question and answer session right at the end. Regarding questions and answers, in our software we're using, which is called 23, which you're all viewing on, you'll see on the right-hand panel that there are 2 sections. The top section is questions, where you can type in questions, and we'd love for you to interact and put your points on what is good, what is not, what is causing some anxiety, perhaps. Ask questions freely. We'll try and answer them through the webinar, but if we don't get to them in the webinar, we will move on to them at the full dedicated session at the end. At the bottom, there's also a comments bar, which people can talk freely within the chat room and communicate through. Again, we'll show we've got handouts out along the top, and the handouts show the products we're displaying, but also relate to the earlier webinars. As most of those who've been here before will know, once you've visited this webinar, you'll be able to review previous webinars and the other topics that we've shown. So moving on from the agenda, we'll move on. First of all, we'd like to introduce Børge Hetland, and Børge is going to give a welcome message for this webinar. So over to you, Børge.
Yes, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I saw on the attendee list that we have attendees from 20 different countries all over the world, from Asia to Europe and America. So maybe it's also good evening or either good night to some of you. Maybe you should be into bed if it's over 12 o'clock in the evening. Anyway, the reason why we started with this webinars back in, I think it was April, was due to COVID-19. And the plan was to be able to interact with you since we couldn't visit you physically. And we have decided now that even though we will be back to, let's say, the normal and we can start visiting you again, I think we will continue with doing these webinars. As you know, when we started NavTOR in 2011, our aim was to simplify tasks related to planning and executing a safe and efficient voyage. And the NavStation, which we launched in 2014, and at the time we called it the world's first chart table, was to be the center and to integrate all the information you need into one single platform. As we have moved on, we have, let's say, constantly launched new modules and functions and softwares to this NavStation platform. And some of these is actually developed due to feedback from customers. One of those is Manoeuvring Assistant, which will be covered today. And this came along as we had one customer who wanted to have a berth assisting tool. Basically, he wanted to stand on the bridge wing and to see the speed and the distance to the berth when he was getting closer, to avoid accident, to let's say, run into the berth too quickly. And then at the same time, we also had a few customers who wanted to have a kind of backup for the backup. So in worst case, if both actors should fail, then he would like to have a third system which he could use to safely navigate to the nearest port. So based on these two inputs, we developed this maneuvering assistant, and we included it into NavStation. And with the pilot plug, and also if you install NavStation on a tablet, you can move around on the bridge and see the vessel position in a detailed chart. So we hope you will find this also interesting and as an aid to your operations on board. We'll also touch upon NavTV with Stephen later on, and this is also just let's say nice to have program, and it's mainly used in the reception area of a shipping company, just as a dynamic view of all the ships in his fleet. So again, thanks for joining. I hope you will find this useful and interesting, and it can give you some tips. So back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Børge. Thank you for the introduction. And I'll move on now to show our dynamic e-navigation system. And I think it's useful to revisit this because I have touched on this on a number of different occasions through many different webinars, but it is the crux of the matter. It is the basis with which our system works. So what we're showing here is our innovative e-navigation services, which are delivered on an established and a secure and reliable communication infrastructure. And what it does is connect ship to shore and also shore to ship. So it's a total all-round connection for data flow. So the diagram in front of you shows slightly different to previously, but it in essence is the same. So it shows what's called the Nav Cloud, which is our database, where all of the data originates. The data flows from the database, the Nav Cloud, out to the Nav Box. And I will reiterate, the Nav Box is the only piece of hardware that we install on a vessel. And what it does is it creates a highway, a secure gateway and a highway to the vessel, which delivers real benefits. The benefits are that it automates the data flow through, or can automate the data flow through to ECDIS. And also, you'll see there's a connection to back of bridge with what we call NavStation. And if you've been at one of these webinars before, you'll know that NavStation is a program that can run on a gigapad, so a large touch screen, or it can run on any PC. So in a lot of vessels, you'll find it on a bridge PC, maybe an admin PC at the back of bridge. But on an increasing number, you'll find the large touchscreen display, which gives that decision-making platform for masters and crew to stand around, very much as the way we used to stand around a chart table. The data flows back from both the NavStation and the ECDIS through the Nav Box to the Nav Cloud. That real-time information is also then displayed within NavTracker, which we covered in webinar number 1. And remember, NavTracker is not just a PC application, but is also iOS and Android mobile application as well. And shown here today for the first time is the connection out to NavTV. And Stephen, my colleague, will later talk to you about NavTV and how that displays the information of your fleet. I'll cover again NavStation itself, and NavStation is, as we said, it is a software program, and the desktop allows you to layer data, and the layers of data are multiple. So first of all, of course, underneath everything lies the ENC, the electronic chart data. We overlay the Admiralty information overlay, of which time you can then do route planning. You can lay in your waypoints, you can make a route. ADP and AENP, which is the Admiralty digital publications, and the nautical publications, which are the sailing directions, are overlaid as well. A discrete layer is new to the system, is the e-publication reader, and currently includes IMO books, but will include other books going forward. We have a weather partner, so weather forecasting we call weather overlay, is provided by our partner Weather News International, WNI. Nav area warnings, again, is a discrete layer that can be looked at and harvested. The environmental regulations form part of, I think, the last or the second last webinar we showed. And this is where environmental regulations can be checked for your class of vessel and your flag. Passage planning overlays all of these, and the reason it overlays all of these is the data underneath can be harvested and automatically taken into a compliant passage plan. And this was covered in the last of our webinars. Manoeuvring Assistant is today's main topic, and that shows above. And weather routing, we call OSR, or Optimum Ship Routing, again provided through our partners WNI, Weather News International, form the current dynamic of NavStation. But this is ever increasing, ever improving. And as Børge rightly touched on, we are responsive to our clients' needs. Therefore, what is shown in here usually comes as part of our clients telling us there's a need for that product. So without further ado, I'm going to move across and introduce my colleague Gaute Fossmark, who is a senior product manager over here at NavTOR in Norway, and he's going to discuss through Manoeuvring Assistant. So I'll pass you across to Gaute right now.
Thank you, Richard. As I said, my name is Gaute Fossmark. I'm a product manager here at NavTOR, and will be going through the Manoeuvring Assistant with you. So what we'll do is going through a few slides, just explaining a little bit on what the Manoeuvring Assistant is, and also demonstrated with a couple of videos with some comments as we go. So I think we just switch to the PowerPoint, yeah. And here you can see Manoeuvring Assistance. It's a monitoring and docking support tool we have developed, and as Børge said, together with some of our customers that has requested this kind of functionality. Just a short service description. It's an independent monitoring software. It's not connected to Actis or Bridge or anything, only AIS, as you see a little bit lower. It's to be installed on a Windows tablet. It's a NavStation software with the Manoeuvring Assistant included. So all of those are Windows-based programs, so it needs to be Windows. It cannot be done on iPads or similar tablets. It's intended to support the bridge team during docking and to be a portable monitoring unit. So you can take it out of the docking and move around with it and have a real time showing of the position of the vessel. It utilizes the sensor data from the IIS plug. We'll show a little bit, come back to that a little bit later. And there are two main modes. It's monitoring and docking, and we'll go to both of them later. Some of the key benefits of the Manoeuvring Assistant, it's compared to some other systems, is that you don't need any extra chart installations or licensing. All of the ENCs used in Manoeuvring Assistant is the same as they use on the Actis and NavStation software. So it's picked up from the Navbox and use the same licensing. And with the Navbox, with the updating, you will always have updated official ENC's charts. And there's no need for route copying. The route synchronization between the Navbox and the routes made on the NavStation are done automatically, so you just have the routes available. And as Børge says, it can also be used as a take me home system. So if all Actis fails, you will still have AIS and official ENCs on the Manoeuvring Assistant. A little bit short on the requirements. Yes, as said earlier, Windows tablet. We are using Microsoft Surface Pro if we are to recommend other some equipment, but you can use anything you would like as long as it's a Windows machine. When not in portable use, it's connected to the Navbox. For instance, we have docking station and get all to make sure all charts and routes are updated all the time. You also need a subscription for Manoeuvring Assistant. That's just enabling service in our back-end system. And you need a Wi-Fi pilot plug unit connected to an available AIS pilot plug. So this means the ones we recommend are plugged into the pilot plug and are making their own Wi-Fi network, so you can connect to it. And as I said a little earlier also, it's installed as a part of the NavStation software. So when you install NavStation, you can install Manoeuvring Assistant as well. So to just go a little bit further in details of the drawing that Richard went through earlier. So from our cloud-based service, we deliver all data we need to Navbox. This is not just for Manoeuvring Assistant, but for NavStation and the actives for charts and permits as well. But the new here is that the Manoeuvring Assistant, when it's installed on a tablet, as normal, you will see on the lower here, it's synchronized routes and charts when it's connected to the Navbox. So in normal mode, you will just have it connected as a normal computer and get all the data from the Navbox. The difference here now is that it will copy routes and charts all the time to the local computer and have them available when it's disconnected from the Navbox. So when you want to use it around the bridge or and so on, you disconnect it from the docking station, and then you need the pilot plug. You enter it in the AIS pilot plug, and then this dongle creates a Wi-Fi network, which you can pick up all the AIS data from the vessel. So this is the way the Manoeuvring Assistant gets its sensor data. And there are two major functional modes in the Manoeuvring Assistant. It's monitoring and docking mode. In monitoring mode, you have a route which you will monitor and closely and get alerts and so on if deviation from your settings. And you have docking modes which will assist you when you are docking the vessel with all kind of lines and information on the situation of your vessel. So now we will go through a couple of videos demonstrating this a little bit better, both the docking and monitoring mode. And we'll start monitoring. Okay, so here we're in the monitoring mode. The Manoeuvring Assistant receives the GPS position, heading, and rate of turn data and AIS targets via the AIS interface. In the display, we have initial data on the top bar, but could also open a monitoring panel to the left. As you see, there are no route data shown, but by opening the route list, you have access to all the same routes as in NavStation, and you can select one for monitoring. If we go back to the monitoring panel, you will see you have additional route data where we can monitor current leg with cross-track distance and the time, bearing, and distance to next waypoint. If we monitor the vessel now, you will see that we approach the starboard cross-track distance limit. We see that the XCD value turns red when cross the cross-track limits, and the same value will be highlighted on the top bar. If we enable AIS targets, we will see all targets around our own vessel. You will also see from the traffic why the vessel deviates from its route. We can enable AIS alerts for closest point of approach and time to closest point of approach. And you will see the relevant vessels turns red. Additionally, we can add name labels and highlight the targets. We have the same possibilities for visualization of the chart as in NavStation and any other actors. Both safety depths and contour settings and chart objects can be set by your own preference. And as an example, we can toggle on the depth contours. When received, we will show the indicators for rate of turn. If we do not receive the rate of turn from the sensor, the software can calculate this based on heading and speed inputs. By selecting a target, we can also get up extended target info. And additionally, some key values are shown for each target in the target list. And also, if you select one of the target, it will be focused in the chart display. We can additionally sort targets by own preference. And in this case, I will select by closest point of approach. And we can see that Princess of the Seas is the listed vessel with shortest CPA value. If we monitor Princess of the Seas, we will get a CPA alarm when time to closest points of approach is below 6 minutes, as we have set in our settings. So hopefully now we will adjust the course north and we will increase the CPA and see that it will come outside our set limits. So also, so you can see that when you're looking ahead, this is very much like a view on an actis, which you can bring around the vessel and monitoring. So you can see here it's a basic but a typical traffic picture. So now we see that we are turning. This takes a little bit time, so we just follow it and see how it goes. So now we can see we will soon get a new fishing vessel inside the CPA limit, while the CPA limit for Princess of the Seas now exceed the set limit and should soon go green. So this shows you a little bit demonstration on that by utilizing the Manoeuvring Assistant. You will have an additional tool to support your operations, both related to route monitoring, as well as traffic situation and traffic clearance on the vessel. So I think this concludes our monitoring part of the Manoeuvring Assistant, and we'll switch to the docking part. So here in the docking mode, we can see this is the same interface. It's just switching by toggling on the docking mode. And actually, in this case, we are approaching Bergen Harbor here in Norway, and we have, as said, changed the focus from route monitoring to docking functionality in Manoeuvring Assistant. So now, in order to declutter a little bit, we deactivate the monitored route and open the docking panel. So now here we can enable predictors ahead of the vessel, as well as enable display of distance lines. The distance lines will automatically hook to the nearest obstruction, either it's shore, an AIS target, or a navigational object as a buoy. In order to avoid jumping from pier to pier, we may draw a no-go line, which better indicates the distance you will have to the upcoming pier. You can see the distance line will then measure distance to an imaginary extension of the pier. We can select to visualize additional distance lines, which will automatically hook to the nearest obstruction. In total, we can display 8 distance lines. As you see, bow and aft, each side of conning position, and each quadrant. So you may also adjust the predictor settings by your own preference. Both the interval between each outline as well as how many outlines you will display can be set. As an example here, we will change to 20 seconds and 6 outlines. And also, by your own preference, you may want to display aft and forward speed vectors as well. When approaching my pair, we will zoom in a bit to focus on my maneuver. And as you may see, that the distance line will automatically attach to the tug waiting for me. So soon, when we just see here, we will lay dead ahead in water and then show you a little bit when throttling into the pair. So now we see from dead ahead, we will now do final approach sideways. You will see on my sideways speed increases, and so the predictors will also show me. You can also add vectors for better visualization and remove the predictors for declutter. And now slowly we will see the movement sideways. So this is, and also just to emphasize, it's important to highlight that the accuracy of the visualization will never be better than the accuracy of the charts and position input. And also the live lineup of sensoring, coordinating position, and vessel setting in vessel particulars page in NavStation is vital for a good presentation in the chart display. So this ends the demonstration of the Manoeuvring Assistant docking part as well, and we'll switch back to Richard.
Thank you very much, Gaute. Very interesting presentation. One thing that I would note on top of that is from one of our customers that when they're trialing Manoeuvring Assistant, they made a comment about, obviously you're going out onto a bridge wing in any weather, so a consideration must be made of the tablet you use to find a tough, maybe a waterproof one or a casing for such. So that needs to be a consideration also, because this Manoeuvring Assistant is designed to be portable, fully portable, and taken out and used wherever required. So you can obviously expect whether that's going to be. So just keep in consideration, of course, that just wider than just a plain Windows tablet, then you need to consider the environment it's going to be used in. So if we move back to our schedule, next on is Stephen Richards, who's going to talk to us about NavTV. So I'll pass you across to Stephen Richards and see how we go. Thank you, Stephen.
I'm with you. I've been a sales manager for NAVTOR for the last 5 years, mainly in the Benelux and Baltic states. So yeah, but if not, nice to meet you guys, and thanks for staying up if you're in Asia. What I'll do is I'll do my presentation on NavTV now. I'll just flick over to it's about one slide just to put across a couple of points. And then we will talk, but I'll show you the actual demonstration of the software. It won't be as detailed as what the Manoeuvring Assistant is. So yeah, not too long. I think Børge mentioned before in his talk that yeah, the idea behind NavTV, it came from a customer request, and it's generally found in places like the office reception, It just gives a overview of your fleet's position as well as the historic tracks. You can also load in destination and ETA for each vessel as well. Some of our cruise vessels actually find it a good tool in terms of they have it playing in certain areas on the cruise vessels. And what that shows them is if they've got customers on one of their vessels, they can actually start seeing where their other cruises are going, and it can generate interest in continual going on board different vessels. You're able to upload your company logo and also specific vessel photos. And the final point is, if you are using NavTracker, if you have a NavTracker subscription with us, it's a beautiful price with no additional charge. So that's also quite a good point. So yeah, let me just flick out of this. I will pull this one down. So this is the NavTV login. It looks very similar to NavTracker. It's a light version of that software. So if you don't have this yet, you do need to contact your account manager and we can arrange the download for it, but it's actually the same login details as what you have for NavTracker. So if I just click sign in here, you can see the company logo is loaded up in the top right hand side, and it just has a picture of all my vessels and where they are located in the world. What it'll then do is it's on a continuous loop where it will select the vessel, then zoom in on that vessel, and you can see there's an image there. So this image has been uploaded by the crew or somebody in the company. And then it's got the report, position report, speed, course, and position of the vessel there. If it's loaded into the AIS system, there can also be the next port of arrival and the ETA list there as well. So it will just sit here and on a continuous loop. So as I said, you might have seen something similar in a different reception. But some of you guys may not know if this is a service available within the NavTour system and it's actually included if you're using NavTracker already. So yeah, that's the quick overview of the NavTV system. What I will do is I'll quickly switch over to NavTracker just so I can show you where you load up your vessel images. This is something you guys in the office can be doing, is loading your own vessel images up into NavTracker. So if you just bear with me here. And so just not to confuse you, this is a separate program called NavTracker, which you guys, I guess, should all be quite familiar with. And if you go into the vessel, there is an additional information section here. So you click on this one. This is where your crew can be adding images of your vessels. It's not stored on any kind of server or anything like that. This will be stored onto the actual computer running the NavTV on NavTracker here. So they can just easily come in, put the vessel name in, and add that one there. And then when that's added into that one, that's when it's populated into NavTV. So yeah, short and sweet demonstration. And that's pretty much what we have to say about NavTV. And if you have any questions about it, definitely you can put it on to the question at the end of this webinar, or definitely contact your account manager and we can get you access to NavTV.
I think you're on mute.
Talk about NavTV. That's very kind. Just a quick note about the images in NavTV, that as Stephen was pointing out, we are compliant with GDPR because the crew images are only ever put in by crews, they're not by ourselves, and they are stored not on our database, they're stored on they're uploaded from your own images. So they're not stored at all on our own database. The image of the vessel, though, is stored for us, but that is uploaded with your permission, and you'll have to go through a permission setting. So just to quickly move over, just to summarize what we've seen today. So in summary, what we've seen is that NavTor is customer driven in its product development. And this is really important. The two products you've seen today have both been derived from customer requirements that have led right the way through development to release. Manoeuvring Assistant, which was shown by Gaute, this is safe and optimal port operations, but also in its other guise, it's a monitoring tool. And as it says here, you assess risk from real-time information. This is AIS information, real-time displayed on usually a bridge or a bridge wing for the master. It gives it that extra decision-making tool. NavTV is real-time visualization of the fleet's movements, used in an office or a reception, but can, as I think Stephen mentioned, be used by cruise vessels around the cruise vessel, and it gives information of the rest of the fleet, which is interesting to customers on board. So moving